with a severe disease caused shrinking in his muscles. He was disabled, unable to move for years, and recently he was even unable to feed or breathe, and he was in the hospital for like the last week or the last 2 weeks. He just passed away in Palace. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him His mercy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to double the rewards for his parents. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. So, inshallah Rabbil Alameen, we will start talking about or addressing, studying the hadith of the book of Riyad As-Salihin, this great book and the blessed book of hadith. And in every Muslim home, you may find this book. There are many books of hadith. We have the Sahih of Bukhari, Sahih of Imam Muslim. We have the books of Sunan. We have many larger books. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed this book. Because of this, you find that most of the Muslims always read these books. This book, and there's a smaller book called the 40 Hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, where two of the most famous of the let's say collections of ahadith that the Muslim scholars had ever made. So before, every Saturday after Isha in the time of Khateerah, we will inshallah within or inshallah Rabbil Alameen in 10 to 15 minutes, we will talk about the interpretation of every hadith that we talked in Arabic before the Isha. But today I want to talk about the author, about Imam al-Nawawi, the scholar who wrote this book of Riyad As-Salihin. Who was he and how did he spend his life? Imam al-Nawawi is called, his name was Yahya, and his father's name was Sharaf. So he was Yahya, the son of Sharaf. And his title was Muhyiddin, and there is something called kunya, which in the Arabic culture they used to say or to call each one, even the kids, the father of so and so. So he was called Abu Zakaria, the father of Zakaria. This does not mean that he had a son called Zakaria. Actually, Imam Nawawi passed away when he was 45 years old, and he did not marry. He passed away as single. Do you know who of our Muslim scholars passed away as singles? Like whom? Ibn Taymiyyah and Imam al-Bukhari too. They were like singles. They spent the whole life seeking for knowledge, so they didn't have time to get married and to spend time with their wives and kids. While some of them actually also had many wives. For example, Imam al-Nasa'i, the author of Sunan al-Nasa'i, he has two big collections of hadith called Sunan al-Nasa'i, the minor and the major, or the larger one. And he used to, he married for for 4 wives, and but he was not called the Nasa'i, this is not because about Nisa, it's about Nasa, which means like his hometown was Nasa. Like Imam Bukhari, his hometown was Bukhara. So also Imam al-Nawawi, his hometown was Nawa. Nawa is a village in Syria. It's like 85 kilometers away from Damascus, 40 kilometers away from Dar'a. And that small village turned now into a city of more than 100,000 people population. So Imam al-Nawawi was born there. He was born in the year of 631 Hijri, 1233 Anno Dominus. And Imam al-Nawawi was born and raised in a period where the Mongols invaded the Islamic country, and even they invaded the city of Baghdad and destroyed it. But before talking about this, Imam al-Nawawi, since he was a kid, when he raised, at that time people used to send their children to learn some Quran, to learn reading and writing in a place, mini school called Kutab, like let's say preschool now or kindergarten or something like that. After that, they used to send them to learn something, to learn a job or to establish their own business. When they become like 15, 16 years old, 18 years old, they will be good in their job enough to depend on themselves. Then they get married and establish their own families. But some of them used to not to go into this way of life. They continued their education in Islamic studies, let's say. One of them was Imam Nawawi. Imam Nawawi, when he was 10 years old, a man called Sheikh Yasin al-Marrakeshi, the Moroccan, Yasin the Moroccan, saw him when he was 10 years old, and the kids were trying to force him to play with them. Imagine you are forcing someone to play with the Xbox. Why don't you play the Xbox? Come on, this is a new game. So he was crying and running away from them while he wants to memorize the Quran. So his father put him, his father was a merchant, a small merchant. He has like a small shop. So he put him in the shop to learn. So he did not care about the shop of his father. He was always caring about learning Quran. So Sheikh Yasin the Moroccan came to his father and said, I believe this kid will be one of the greatest scholars in Islam. So don't waste him. So his father listened to his word, and he sent him to learn, to finish memorizing the Holy Quran. When he finished it when he was 12 years old. When he was 18 years old, his father took him to Damascus, the capital of Syria, because Damascus was a large city, and after the Mongols invaded Baghdad and destroyed it, Damascus became one of the most important cities of knowledge. So he took him there. There were many scholars. So he learned with a scholar called Ibn al-Firkah, but he asked him for a place to live, like to sleep in. He wants a room. So some schools at that time used to be built with housing for the students, others without. So the school of Ibn al-Firkah had no housing. So he sent him to another scholar called Ishaq ibn Ahmad al-Maghribi in a school called al-Rawahiyya. So he sent him there. He said they gave him a small room and said, you stay here, we will give you food and you learn. And he started to learn. He mentioned that he used to attend 12 classes of fiqh and hadith and Arabic language and different fields of knowledge every day. And when we were in the Medina University, we used to have like 25 classes every week, let's say 5 a day. And then the fifth one, we feel like headache, that's too much. So he used to spend a lot of time learning and writing and memorizing not only the Quran and Hadith, but the books of fiqh. He used to memorize the books of fiqh. After 2 years, his father took him to the trip of Hajj. When he came back, he went back to his school. He was like 20 years old, and he started to write books. Within these 25 years till he died, he wrote many books. He wrote like the most important books in a Shafi'i school, Shafi'i fiqh school, like Al-Majmu', a book of more than 12 volumes, but he did not finish it. A Rawdat al-Talibin, a book of 6 volumes. You know, what time he had just to write these books with without not even a pen and regular paper. He would every time to drop the piece of the pen in the ink and write. And he wrote also many other books in fiqh and many other books in hadith. He wrote an interpretation of the Sahih of Imam Muslim. He wrote this book of Riyad As-Salihin. And also he made books in Arabic language, in Nahu, in Arabic grammar and Balagha, and in the meanings, like a dictionary of the fiqh terms. And also he made books in hadith sciences in every field. The only field he did not success in learning it was medicine. He tried. Muslims at that time were the highest nation in medicine, let's say sciences. So he bought the book of Al-Qanun, the most popular book of in medicine in the Islamic civilization, but he said, I felt so bad, I was unable even to write and read, so I sold it, and I returned back to working in the knowledge of religion. Imam al-Nawawi was not only a scholar, he was a brave man. We know that at his time the Mongols invaded the Islamic world under the leadership of Hulagu, the grandson of Genghis Khan, and they destroyed the city of Baghdad and they invaded Levant. But the Mamluki, who were slaves, but the Sultan, the Ayyubi Sultan, the grandsons of Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, used to buy them and train them as soldiers, then they turned into leaders. And each one of them even started to buy more and become like a leader of his group. So at the end, they became the rulers. They became the governors of Egypt. And one of them was called Qutuz, al-Muzaffar Qutuz, and he stopped the invasion of the Mongols in the famous battle of Ain Jalut in Palestine. His, let's say, his friend and his leader also, Zahir Baybars, was the leader of his army. He killed him in their way back and took his place. So he became the Sultan at that time. And Zahir Baybars was let's say, a good leader, because he was fighting the Mongols, protecting the Islamic world from them. But in the same time, he was not a kind of just governor or merciful one. So he used to take the money of people. Imam Nawawi faced him. He said, you cannot do this. For example, one day he said, if you don't have the, let's say, the document to prove that this land or this farm is yours, we will take it from you. Imam Nawawi wrote him a letter, and he said, this is not your right. They don't have these documents, but these lands and properties are in their hands for many years. They took them from their parents, so you cannot say that it is all yours. You cannot take them from. He said, who's this one who's trying to prevent me from doing something I want? They said, this is Imam al-Nawawi. He said, okay, stop his salary and fire him from all of his positions. They said, he do not receive any salaries and he do not have any positions. He's just a scholar. So he did not know what to do with him. So he decided to cancel his decision. And another time when he wanted to put some taxes, extra taxes on the people to fight the Mongols, and he brought the scholars and made them sign on a paper that this is halal for him to do so. Imam al-Nawawi refused. He brought him. He said, why did you refuse to sign with your, let's say, companions? He said, no, you don't have the right. You was a slave, and you became the governor, and you had many servants, and you have many, let's say, slave maids, and they all have gold and jewelries. So when you sell all of this, you and your leaders, and you stay without anything but your own clothes, then if there is no more money in the treasury, then you can ask people to pay extra tax to fight the Mongols. But you cannot ask for the money of people while you are keeping all this money with you and your servants. So he got mad at him. So he said, leave me, go to your hometown. He said, okay, I will go. A few months later, Zahir Baybars, the Sultan, passed away, and he was unable to harm them. Even there is a narration that they said, why don't you kill him? He said, I cannot, I am afraid of him. I cannot touch him. So Imam al-Nawawi also was not only a scholar and a brave person, he was also has a lot of zuhd, which means he does not want anything from this life. He used even not to eat fruits and vegetables. He said, this will make my body wet and make me sleep. I don't want to sleep. He said even, I spent 2 years without putting my side on the ground, without sleeping on a bed. They said, what did you used to do? Yani, you need to sleep. He said, I used to, after when I get so tired, just to bend on my books for a few moments, taking a nap, then I woke up and continue what I was doing. And he used only to eat like dry food sent to him from his father, like dry figs and dry bread. That was his food. And he used to fast too much and not to sleep a little, and to do a lot of good deeds during his daytime, in addition to the time he used to spend in writing books. So he did not live for so long. In this way, you cannot live. Your body will not hold this for a long time. So when he was 45 years old, he passed away. It looks like that he felt sorry, that he was about to die. So he returned back the books he borrowed from the awqaf, from the schools. Then he went to visit the cemetery of his teachers, and went to visit his friends. Then he went to visit Al-Aqsa and to visit the city of Hebron. Then he went back to his parents, and he passed away there with them. Even his parents, and he passed away during the lifetime of his parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him mercy, he and all our great scholars, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise their level in the Jannah. Inshallah Rabbil Alameen, in the next durus we will start talking about the ahadith that Imam Nawawi collected in this great collection of Riyad As-Salihin. The first one will be the hadith of إنما الأعمال بالنيات, the hadith of intention.